You guys are some of the very few who accurately predicted a Donald Trump victory. And so either one of you, just talk a little bit about that, because you're not even really all that political. You're relatively apolitical, but because I would call you, correct me if I'm wrong here, like charisma experts and like psychology experts, how were you able to predict that victory?
Yeah, so gosh, I'm remembering back. People were telling me around December of, I suppose, 2015 to do a breakdown like we do of some of the athletes and actors that we've done on Donald Trump. And I was very resistant. I grew up in a Democrat-leaning household and had just a bad taste in my mouth about him. But as he continued to gain steam in the polls and all that kind of stuff, I decided to take a look into him. And so when I started watching his debates, I saw him have such a method to his madness. And in what looked like chaos, I saw the audience respond. There was that Rosie O'Donnell moment early in the campaign where they tried to get him with that gotcha question, and he completely flipped it on Megyn Kelly and had the entire audience in an uproar. And I watched like schoolyard tactics of how to win a crowd just get employed masterfully. So in watching his debates, I saw that he was not trying to win the election in the Republican primaries. He was trying to knock out the top Republican competitors one by one by one. And so people were saying he's not going to win. He could never win like this. This is not going to play to the general audience. And as soon as he became the Republican candidate, his campaign shifted, and he started doing the same thing to Hillary. So I made that prediction early in I started feeling it around January, February. I think we announced it in March. But I was one of the people who believed the polls at the end. When they said Hillary was 95% likely to win, I went into an election night thinking that I was wrong. Illegally, I found out later, placed money on this bet.
Apparently, you're not supposed to bet on U.S. presidential elections.
Yes, but I found an Australian bookie who would take it.
Yeah, well, there's this whole markets of prediction markets for politics now. But it wasn't, you didn't just see, you saw Trump's charisma and how he was really effectively winning over the crowd, knocking off his competitors in this sort of, you described as like schoolyard bully tactics, but very effective. But you also kind of pegged Hillary's anti-charisma. So talk about that part as well.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but what I remember seeing in her is that she thought that she could ride on the woman card and just skate that into election. And I remember a couple of things that she was doing that were just Donald Trump had crooked Hillary. He had these very catchy labels that he was throwing onto people, and he was testing these out. I didn't spot this first. Scott Adams saw it. He saw that he was sort of A/B testing insults and seeing how crowds reacted, much like a stand-up comic would. So I saw him doing that, and she then copied him so poorly. She called him at one point presumptuous Donald, which is the least effective insult. And I saw her just continually miss the mark on the things that were, she tried to label herself, I remember, an outsider, which was just so – it was something that was so difficult to believe for someone who had literally lived in the White House for 8 years, to label herself an outsider. And so the role that she tried to play, the role that she tried to portray him as were just so unbelievable that I think she took what should have been a sure thing for her and shot herself in the foot and lost the election.
Yeah, I think she also was kind of to the outsider point, like not creating her own strengths or reasons to vote for her. She went very much on the I'm not Trump, because I remember at one point you pulled up her website. You said, look at this website.
Yeah. And
it said love Trump's hate over and over and over and over. And you said 1/3 of this website is Trump's name. Yeah. Like, I get that she thinks this is clever, but it is, you go to her site and think of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think she thought if she could just position herself as not him, that would be enough. And I remember at the time you saying she wasn't doing enough to say why she was good. She wasn't talking about how 8 years in the White House had equipped her to be a good president. She was just talking about how she wasn't Donald Trump, and it just wasn't enough to get people excited to show up and vote for her.
You're actually seeing shades of that now in the California recall election with Gavin Newsom, where everything is up there that's like, don't let Republicans win. Not them, not them. It's nothing like, here's my thing. It's just like, not them, not them.
Listen, we understand that you really don't like me and I look like a vampire. But I promise you the other ones are way worse, is effectively the pitch there.
And to your anti-charisma Hillary point, the thing that stuck with me, and I still have nightmares of it, is when she was in the debate and said, He does trumped up trickle down economics. It was like her and 2 staffers thought it was clever and nobody else in the world thought it was clever. But you made a good point in the video because you said there are arguments for insiders. You could say I have more experience. I was there when Osama bin Laden was killed. Like you could say all these things, but she didn't. She fought the battles on his turf, and that was the ultimate mistake.
Yeah, she's like, I'm an outsider because I'm a woman. So vote for me.
That's quite literally what she argued.
Yeah, that was her pitch. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Did you do one for Biden versus Trump this time around?
We did. I mean, I got 2. I got Biden and I got Trump. That doesn't make me especially good at this, but I watched the debate and I waited till after the debate to do it, and I thought that Joe Biden handled himself competently. The worst thing that he could have done was look dead. I thought that was his biggest weakness.
I thought he failed on that front. He looks dead.
I thought he looked cogent and together more than I'd anticipated that he would. And I thought that was his biggest hole. And that was after seeing that, I said, okay, I think Trump is behind here. Biden kind of has to lose this in the way that Hillary lost this. But you made a great point that I'd forgotten to mention that I just want to underscore is that Donald Trump throughout that entire run dictated the terms that he would compete on. He made this election about who is the most outsider. And Hillary implicitly bought into that framing, which is may the best outsider win, which is like you're going to lose if you play this game. Play the game of like may the most competent person, the person with the fewest bankruptcies, the person with, the best experience in this or the smartest. And she instead tried to be, I think, clever without really understanding why Trump's insults were working. She just copied the form as best she saw it.
But for both of you, I want to go through this and I want to get both of your opinions. I'm going to name somebody and you tell me what exactly is their charm, what's their charisma, what's their appeal. Because one of the things that I never used to think of, but you opened my eyes to, is that, there are different kinds of charm and appeal. And like some people make, like I think Noam Chomsky makes monotone sound good, but he's the only person on the planet who does that. So there's got to be something there. So let's start with an easy one, Obama.
Oh, boy.